Fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their two locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs. What is up, everybody? It's the Morgan Thomas Show. I'm glad you're in. I hope you're having a good week so far. It's Thursday night. You know what that means. We're going to be here talking about Clemson football, baseball, softball, whatever we can, recruiting, and anything in between. I'm glad you're in, whether you're over on Facebook or YouTube. And hey, I've been around. I've been up very all day today. I've been up very early. I joined the Mickey Plowler show this morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Did the button mashing over there, made sure the show was running, and got to discuss some things with Mickey this morning, and also listen in on some recruiting talk as well as some Clemson discussion, which I will extend to this show as well because I want to continue the discussion. As you know, we have two co-hosts that join us every single week. This is not just the Morgan Thomas Show, but I also have two co-hosts. One is actually out. Big Al, Alan Adams, is not going to be here tonight because he is, again, playing church basketball, which, again, reliving his dreams of being the next Kobe Bryant out there. So, Al, wherever you are, wherever you may be, hopefully you are dunking on some dudes. Hopefully you're draining some threes in front of your wife and kids and just having a great time and winning the game, of course. That is key. The fun is in the winning, as Dabo Swinney says. But my other co-host, Mr. Houston Burnett, is actually here with me. So let me bring him on for the show. Houston, welcome in.
What's going on? I mean, if I could be playing church basketball tonight, it's not a bad thing. I was the hustle guy. I was the poor man's Tyler Hansborough. So that's what I got done. I was your hustle guy.
It's always good to be the hustle guy. I mean, you know what I say when they were talking about I think I was on it was the NFL draft show, Houston. I don't know if you listened to the NFL draft show on the Roar with Walt, Faxon Childress, and myself. And Walt was saying, you know what? George Pickens is a butt guy. No, actually it wasn't Walt. I'm confusing the shows. It was Mickey. Mickey said George Pickens is a butt guy, meaning he's got this talent, but he's got all this baggage with him, right? Well, I said,
Mickey, with some phrasing here.
I said, I am the opposite butt guy. I'm the guy that's, you know what? I don't have all the talent, but I got a lot of heart. I got a lot of heart.
We gotta institute some phrasing here, man. You got kids listening in the morning, man. Like, goodness gracious.
Wherever your mind is right now, I don't know. But anyways, so again, I had a great morning, up very early, long drive from Simpsonville to Clemson. But I enjoy it, and I hope that if you are in the area or you're listening on the app, hopefully you can see that. And we got a lot of stuff to discuss. Again, we're trying to be a little bit less scripted, a little bit less planned out. I guess we're never really scripted, Houston. I don't want to give the impression that we're ever really scripted, but a little bit less planned out and just kind of discussing things that you want to talk about. I want to talk about, Houston. You want to talk about, and the fans on the chat want to talk about as well. So I have something that I want to bring up, but before I get into it, I did want to let you know, I mentioned this on the show this morning. Annabeth, my daughter, she went 3 for 3 in her softball game last night. They actually won 20-16 against the team in Simpsonville. So good job, ladies out there. Good job, Annabeth, for going 3 for 3. It is amazing to see the progress of a 7-year-old over one season. We're now at about 9 games into it. And we started out to a point where, there was a lot of strikeouts. Now we're to a point where we're going 3 for 3 and scoring 20 runs, which is pretty exciting, man. Pretty exciting.
I mean, slugging percentage is starting to match the average now. That's kind of what we're looking at now. She had a great slugging percentage beforehand. Now she's got a great batting average. She's probably about 300 now as far as that goes.
Well, I actually do the book. I do the book. All right, I take everything I do very seriously. And so when I do the book, I actually record RBIs, runs, where they hit it. I record it the way you're supposed to. As I haven't updated it from the last game. So she added, let's see, she had 3 more hits. I can update it as we go. So last game she had as of last game, she had 18 at bats and 7 hits. She was batting 389. All right.
Whoa.
So if we add in the three more at bats and the 3 more first base hits, now she's batting 476, Houston. So, and her slugging percentage is 524. So she has 1 double and 9 singles so far on the season. Now, I will say this, we got a girl on the team that I think Coach John Rittman really needs to look at, because she is currently batting, well, as of last game, she was batting 941. If you add in last game's results, she had 3 home runs last game on 3 at bats. She's now batting 950 for the year. 950.
So what you're saying is, she's going to be the one of the signees in the class of 2033.
Hey, by the way, talking about the girls softball team, I don't know, did you watch the game this afternoon? It started at 1:30.
I had a prior commitment going on. I couldn't make it today. So, but I saw the score, and I thought for a second before I went out this afternoon, I saw Virginia Tech was down. I know they came back and won, but I was
they came back and won by one run against Syracuse.
Yeah, well, you never know.
Well, no lie, Virginia Tech's going to be a tough out. I mean, they swept Clemson, I believe at home, and it was very difficult. And you mentioned that leading up to the game when we had our show before that weekend series, you said, hey, watch out. You know, fans are all hyped. You said, hey, there might be a little bit of a reality check. And you were right. I mean, it was a huge slap in the face for the ladies, for the fan base for sure, because we were kind of on this high of last season. And then we kind of got knocked down a notch after that Virginia Tech game. So the good thing is that Clemson gets another shot.
That's what I'm going to say. All right. I said look out for the reality check, but this is a similar scenario that worked out last year. Virginia Tech mowed Clemson in the regular season in 2021. And then what happened in the tournament? Clemson came back, got a close win. Tournament situations, 1-game scenarios like this can go either way. Would it surprise me if Clemson gets mowed again? Potentially, if that pitcher comes out motivated, could happen. But I could also see
Rochard is really good.
She's really good, but it's a different situation when you have a 1-game playoff. This isn't like a double elimination. It's a different deal. So Clemson's got a good shot to win tomorrow.
You only have your next game. And that's what makes it so serious. And really, Clemson is kind of in that situation where it seems like they may not be, which I don't know how the postseason goes, but right now they're ranked 15th. So it seems like they should be in the postseason, but maybe not. I don't know, depending on how well they do in the ACC. I don't know how many teams are in the postseason. I'm not fully versed on softball postseason.
It's not a matter of if they're going to make it, Morgan. It's a 64-team tournament. It's a matter of if they are going to host or not.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. You know, if you're 15th in the nation, hopefully you'd make a 64-team playoff. But hosting, is definitely a big deal. I know that was some controversy last year where Clemson won the ACC, but Florida State got to host. You know, I understand that. Florida State's a tough team too, man. Let me tell you what, if they have to play them in the championship game, let's say they get there, that team, man, they got a girl that is like the all-time leader in doubles, and she will rock your world and bring all the other girls home. I mean, she can clear the bases in one hit anytime. Then the girl batting, I think right after her, is like one of the top home run hitters in the nation. So Florida State's definitely got some bats over there. And again, you also have to have good pitchers too. But for Clemson, you know, Valerie Cagle was kind of the ace last year. Millie Thompson has really grown up and become, I believe, this year the ace for the team. And I love her attitude, her, swagger, confidence, whatever she brings to the mound. It's just different. It's a little bit intimidating, I'm sure, for the other side, but it's just confidence. And you definitely need that from the pitching position. And I'll say also one thing you need is an off-speed pitch. That's one thing I wish Valerie would get. And I know she's not really that kind of pitcher. She's more of your John Smoltz, kind of like just blow it by him kind of pitcher. But Millie Thompson, she can pitch hard, but she definitely has this changeup that just throws people for a loop.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, and I'm looking at one of the comments. I don't want to spoil it, but it looks like Rochard might not pitch tomorrow for Virginia Tech, which, look, I don't know. I didn't watch the full series this year, so I don't know how their second starter is at Virginia. I'm sure it's good. But we just keep going as far as it goes. I think if they win tomorrow, they secure a hosting regional for sure. And then I think if you're able to win the ACC, you might be able to get a Supers host. Might, but I don't want to pump that out there because softball is a different game. It's something that I think all of us as Clemson fans are learning because, I mean, you look at it to be in the position where Clemson is right now in softball, and this is just the second. We'll say we can say it's 3 years. This is really year
Second
number
full
2.
season.
Second full season. It's really year number 2. They didn't really get that far into the first year, so it's their second year, and they're already being talked about this highly. So that's pretty impressive.
I mean, it's very impressive to first say that you're in the top 25 within just a few years, within really the first year, and then to say that you filled up your stadium to the point where they're already talking about extending the seating capacity for your stadium. I mean, I know that I talked to some experts. Bill Lanham's in the chat. He gave me a seat. I talked to a guy next to him, said that he was in on some of the inner workings with the stadium, and that all forecasted projections were it would take 5-6 years or so, and they did it in like 2 or 3. I mean, they're already looking to expansion, and it's just a great thing. And really, I mean, long time coming, because I think everybody has been begging for softball. Hey, Houston, let's take a break here real quick, and let's get into our chat because we have about 19 people over on Facebook or YouTube. Let me tell you about Facebook and YouTube. So we stream over on the Morgan Thomas Show on Facebook. If you're watching there, thank you so much. The best thing that you can do for Facebook, really, I don't even really know anymore. Facebook has been so screwed up here and there with the algorithm. I used to get 4,000 or 5,000 views, and now I get like 400. I don't know what the deal is. We've been doing this for almost 4 years, so you would think we would know, but I have no idea. They keep changing it up. All I just ask you to do is hit the like button. That'd be the easiest thing. That'd be the best thing for us. No need to do anything else. Just hit the like button. On YouTube, same thing. Hit the like button. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe, because we are trying to do some videos. I know it's been very busy for me. I normally do more videos than what you have seen recently, but when you are volunteer coaching for your daughter's softball team, and then having a job, and then actually starting a radio production with Mickey Plyler in the morning, I run out of time to do things. You know what I mean, Houston? So I appreciate everybody's patience, but we do want to get some more videos out. I will tell you this, Houston, you would have loved this. Last night, the moms were making fun of me, bro, because as I told you, I am the dugout manager. Okay. I am the herder of cats in the dugout. That's my first job. My second job is the lineup, to make sure that all the girls know their lineup. They have it, listed, and that the right batter is going up, because if they don't, then it's an out. Right. And they don't ever, it's hard to get them to pay attention sometimes. So got to make sure they do that. And then I got told into the scorebook, which I love. As you saw, I'm doing the scorebook, and I do it legit with pen and paper. All right, pencil and paper, actually. And then last night we had another dad that was out, so I was the first base coach and the infield coach on the right hand side. So I was coaching the first base, the second base, the right fielder, and the 2 right fielders, and doing the scorebook at the same time, and making sure the girls that were in the dugout paid attention. The moms were just laughing at me like, what is this guy doing? He's doing way too much.
Yeah, that's why you guys start learning to communicate with hand signals like they do in baseball, the different, all that kind of stuff. You got to learn that. That's why they do it. They do a lot on the field.
Hawk on the radio said you got to teach outs in T-ball. He mentioned something. I caught the very end of what he said 2 days ago. He said you got to teach in T-ball outs. And I want to respectfully tell Qualk this. Go ahead and coach T-ball and then tell me what you think. Okay, because first of all, there's really no outs in T-ball, because they just let them all bat and then they switch sides, right? So that's the first thing. Second of all, I'm doing 8 and under coach pitch, and it's a learning process. I'm just saying, it's a learning process. It has taken quite a few weeks to figure out first base, second base, third base. Okay. So, outs are pretty easy at this point, but you have to remember it's about the basics and teaching the fundamentals. And, also, you have to let them figure it out. There's times where you can say it a million times, but they just got to figure it out. And it may take 9 or 10 games, because I will tell you, Houston, I mean, literally, game 1, lots of strikeouts. Game 9, won 20-16. It's been a work of art. I see someone in the chat talking about it. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's go to the chat and say hello to everybody. First up, Bible Belt Beauties. He says, "Woo, what's up?" Well, I hope that's a Ric Flair. Woo, what's up? All right, Kevron gets in and says, "Hey, Big Al, Alan Adams, Houston Burnett, and hi, Morgan Thomas. Go Tigers. Houston, got a nice beard." He always complimenting you on the beard.
Yeah,
Kevron needs to grow one out to himself and see who can get the best beard. We should have a beard contest.
Yeah.
John gets in, says, "Yee," just like that. Yee.
Yee.
Yee. Al Coon says, "Let's go." John says, "Man, I can't go to many Clemson fan sites without seeing a lot of Dabo hate about recruiting."
Thank you. Oh my!
Wow!
gosh.
Wow! Well, tonight we are going to get into. We are going to look at my recruiting spreadsheet. I wanted to start doing that on a weekly basis, Houston, and kind of going back through the spreadsheet at a glance, because I know a lot of people like it. Basically, it's a culmination of Rivals.com, 247.com, and what we can see publicly, what we know publicly. I pull it together and try to put it in a spreadsheet so you can see, and then I kind of search player by player to see if there's anything new on Twitter or whatever it can be. So I try to do the work for you.
John, just know you are heard. You are heard by me. You are heard.
Well, I'll tell you this. I think it is a little bit frustrating as a person who speaks about Clemson to see how many people just adamantly hate what Dabo Swinney is doing. And I will say it's okay to disagree, but man, to just act like he's a trash coach sometimes, the way they talk, and they may not even see it because they're so blinded. But sometimes I'm like, are you even really a fan? I mean, why even be a fan if you hate on the coach that much?
Yeah, I know. Well, a lot of them probably are not happy that he's, been successful because they wanted him gone, so many years ago. I say this as being someone, and I'll admit this. I probably have admitted this on the show. I was very much anti-Dabo I was in college from 2009 to 2012, wanted him gone. And I was one of these people that you see on these recruiting sites. I was one of them. I am a reformed fan.
This is something new.
Fan. Yeah. So
wow.
I learned after the 2018 season, after they went 15-0 and won 44-16 against Alabama, I was like, you know what? I might benefit from just shutting my mouth a little bit and letting the experts. I mean, once you win 2 national championships, that's more than how many coaches out there ever.
What are the things that you see them talk? What if you just list out the things? What would you say are the listed hated things internally about Dabo? We won't say hated. We'll say dislike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it starts out right now. At least the hot topic is the coaching staff that he hired. All right. And look, whether you think they're inexperienced or not, this hasn't had a chance to breathe yet. All right. 2, it's always about roster management. 3, it's about how they offer people, or lack of offers or waits and doing all this kind of stuff. 4, it's about, we're just never going to be able to compete with NIL. 5, I mean, I could go on and on. It's just this, the transfer portal stuff. I don't know, man, to get bent out of shape about some of this stuff when you have to have a differentiator. And I think that's the biggest thing that everybody doesn't understand right now is Clemson is not Alabama or Georgia. Just get that into your head. They're not. We don't have the size of their schools or their bases. They're monster schools. And we're a big school. Clemson's a big school. Don't get me wrong. But we're not that size. So you have to have a differentiator in what you do. All right. That's why you're able to pull so many players. And regardless of what people want to think about recruiting, Clemson has a stake in more places than it did before Dabo. And they're still going to have a very solid class at the end of this, no matter what people on Twitter or insert Clemson message board, which I could go on a tangent about how I can't stand message boards altogether, but that's another story for another day. But
I don't get along with message boards usually because
yeah,
I end up over promoting myself or the show or something else, and people hate me. So,
well, the same
I'm a
message
marketer
board.
at heart, Houston. I'm a marketer at heart.
Well, I think what it just needs to be is it is a season, and I've thought this is what I've been thinking lately is it's a season right now because you haven't really seen as many coaching changes as you did last year. I mean, think about it. You've got Oklahoma, which has one of your coaches. Virginia, that has one of your coaches. Miami just got a hallowed son to come in. LSU just got a new coach. Georgia just won a national championship. Tennessee has an entertaining product. So, like, there's a lot of things that are going on, and then you happen to have your worst season in years where you still won 10 games. So Clemson is going to, if Clemson has a bounce back year, that's going to solve a lot of problems instantaneously. Boom, solves a lot of problems. What I think the next storm will be is when a handful of other schools make coaching changes in the next 2 years, i.e. Nebraska and Florida State, and you'll have to deal with the blowback of those, which I think Florida State will end up going after Deion Sanders. So you'll have to deal with Deion Sanders and Mario Cristobal, and you'll have to deal with that. I think Georgia Tech will make a hire, and I think they'll hire a current coach that's on a hot seat at a major university. I'll keep that to myself for later on, but I think Georgia Tech will be someone that we have to slightly contend with just because of who they're going to get.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Good discussion there. And again, I think that, the Dabo hate, sometimes I think that, there is a healthy amount of debate and questioning strategy. I think that is okay. But when you get to a point where you don't sound like a fan, that kind of bothers me a little bit. It's like, come on, you're first of all paying for a site or not paying, or you're spending time on a site in a forum. And a lot of times your username has the name Clemson or Tiger in it. So you're obviously a fan, but you don't really sound like one. It kind of disappoints me. You might be a Gamecock in disguise, though.
It could be that, but the funniest thing I saw the other day, I was on one of these sites, and someone had a picture of Wes Goodwin as their avatar, and they were trashing all the new coaches they had hired. I'm like, then why is Wes Goodwin your avatar?
But so my question out loud is, where is the balance between proven coach and also coach that loves your university, that has ties? Because to me, and you can't win for losing, as my grandmother used to say, because when you look at, when it comes to coaching staff, right? Certain coaches get put into spots at Clemson. They say, they have no experience. We should have went for an experienced guy. I think for offensive coordinator, and correct me if I'm wrong, Houston, but you would have rather had the Ole Miss guy come that eventually went to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We really were high on him, and I was high on him too. I mean, who would not be? He's a proven guy, right? Well, Dabo went with the lesser proven but more loyal guy who literally has a picture of himself in orange overalls at like 3 years old. Okay, so that's Kyle Richardson. You got Brandon Streeter who's a real offensive coordinator, but he's a guy who graduated from Clemson and played at Clemson as a quarterback. So you have ties there. You have loyalty. They're going to pitch your university, but you don't have the expertise. But then again, the same fans will turn around and say, we got to get rid of Robbie Caldwell. He's too old. He's been around way too long. And then on the flip side, say, why is Clemson losing all these offensive linemen to Notre Dame? We need an old guy who knows what he's talking about. It's like, you just told us to get rid of Robbie Caldwell. Now you're telling us we need to do what Notre Dame is doing. By the way, Notre Dame has a guy who's 5 years older than Robbie Caldwell, 68 years old.
Yeah, and I mean, I think those people, look, I feel like the hires that they made, even though they're young, are going to be good. Look, the prime example is look at Tyler Grisham, right? And he's still got a lot to prove. We'll talk about wide receivers in a little bit, but recruiting wise, he walked in at the 11th hour to Antonio Williams' home last year, and it was ball game. It was over when he walked into the room. I think with Thomas Austin, people are going to really eat their words this year. When even if Clemson loses Absher, if they lose Freeling, I don't know, and I don't know anything about Freeling. I'm just saying,
I feel like that. Did not Dabo go to Antonio Williams' house? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
but I mean,
remember.
Grish was there too.
Okay.
Grisham was all about it. But
Dabo
I
is
mean,
the all-time closer. I know that's for
yeah.
sure.
Well, I mean,
Um,
look, you're about to have the closer get his first save in June 3rd coming up.
June
And I
3rd.
mean, I'm
Okay.
just saying, just
I
wait.
think that's another thing too. We got to wait. The recruiting calendar is different this year. And so we've got to wait for these June visits that were not originally in the past. I mean, in the past, you had May, you had your cookouts then in May, and that was basically it. Now you've got this really an entire month of June, I believe, and it's so much different.
Yeah, well, it was camp. Camp would be in June. Cookout's always at the end of the summer. And
Right.
so I want to say it, and I
Well,
might be
there's Dabo Sweeney camp is in May. Is that right? Or there was a cookout in May, I thought. I
no,
don't know.
no, no, no. Not last year they changed it because of the COVID stuff getting lifted. But normally it's camp in June. You have a few weeks of camp, a few weeks of visits there. You get offers out, which is another thing. Here's another tangent. Everybody's like running back recruiting. Oh, there's only 3 running backs. Give it time. They want to get the guys. They want to work out guys. You're going to see guys get offered after camp. There was an offer just 15 minutes ago. JP put it out there of an offensive lineman. There are guys that have camped with them or they've seen work out. These are some guys that they want to at least know that they want to offer. And it's okay. Like we're not to June yet. This is the main thing to remember is it is a marathon, not a sprint with recruiting. It'd be great if we could sign every 5-star in the books right now and be done. And I mean, sometimes that happened, but that's not always the case. And I think the biggest thing Clemson fans, especially on the ones that hang on tooth and nailed with recruiting, is they got spoiled in 2018 and 2020. Super spoiled.
Yeah, I will talk about some spoiledness. I got some subjects about that, but let's continue through the chat. Bible Belt Beauty says, Morgan, can you let the listeners know how lucky we are to have Coach Kyle Richardson in Clemson? Houston, you just keep nodding your head there. Well, obviously, this is a guy who came from, I believe,
Northwestern, man.
Northwestern.
My wife's alma mater, man. Northwestern High School. Go Trojans.
I don't know why I thought Northeastern. We're not in Illinois here. So
Northwestern.
In Charlotte, Rock Hill area, right? And then they actually won. He won 2 state titles with them, and I think was an offensive coordinator through 1 or 2 state titles as well. Had an undefeated season, I think his second year, but the rest of his years, I believe he only had 1 or 2, maybe 3 losses at most. So he's definitely a proven winner at the high school level. Coached and coordinated under a legendary coach. I can't remember his name offhand, but guy that was there for like 50 years or 60 years. And again, like I mentioned, Kyle Richardson had been a guy who was a Clemson fan since he was like 3 years old in orange overalls. So definitely a guy you want in there, a guy that has some high school understanding of recruiting from the high school side of things, also understanding of offenses and maybe a different wrinkle that can be added to Brandon Streeter's offense that he's going to kind of tweak from the base that Clemson has already developed. So there's nothing to hate about Kyle Richardson. I think Clemson is definitely on the right path there with adding him as a position coach and then a passing game coordinator.
No, yeah, I think eventually he'll be moved to co-coordinator, or he might just take the reins of Streeter. I could see a scenario in the coming years if Clemson's offense has success, where maybe Streeter takes a job like Liberty, where he was a coach at and was a coordinator at, and that opens up. I could 100% see Kyle Richardson get moved to that coordinator position. He's a sharp young mind. He's energetic. He's a great recruiter. I mean, whether or not what happens with McKeska, he's a great recruiter. He's got plenty of names in the hat, and I think he's going to be a good asset to have. When I saw that he was hired, I was like, I'm glad that they got perspective from someone who hasn't been in the game that for like 20 years and kind of a shady mind like Bentley was at Burns. But they got somebody at Northwestern who I've seen play live. They were very good. And I think he's going to be great. I'm glad they hired him, and I hope he ends up being a coordinator for us, for Clemson.
Al Kuhn says, dang, miss Big Al. Yeah, we miss him too. Big Al, if you're out there listening, we miss you, buddy. John says, we're all butt guys.
Whoa.
Depends on what we're talking about. He said
Phrasing.
2 T's.
Phrasing.
Yeah, I was talking about the 1 T butt. He's talking about the 2 T butt. He may be right. Al says, Morgan, please send your daughter's hitting coach to Clemson baseball. Also, does she have a pitching coach? Well, we definitely don't have a pitching coach because we're coach pitch. Her hitting coach is yours truly. And I don't, hey, depending on the paycheck, I'm assuming hitting coach at Clemson probably pays a little bit more than what I make. I would be willing to take that job.
How's your plate approach?
Just get up there and swing, man. Swing for the fences.
Yeah,
That's
swing for the fence. Not too different, man. Not too different.
Don't strike out. Hit home runs. That's all I want, baby.
I hit dingers, baby. That's all we do.
You know what? To be honest with you, I have a good time with Annabeth. And what I have learned in my short amount of time being a hitting coach for softball is that, you don't be too embarrassed to go back to the tee. Even the pros hit off a tee, and sometimes you got to develop that hip movement and that footwork and the hand-eye coordination without having to worry about the ball moving around on you from a live pitch. And so sometimes it just takes sucking up your pride and go getting behind a tee and hitting off a tee a bunch of times till you get your motion back in. And Annabeth has been doing great. I really enjoy it. It's been a good time. We actually, Houston, what we do is we'll hit off the tee with a real softball. And I have a bucket of balls, and we go through about 3 or 4 buckets when we practice. And then what I'll do is I have purchased some basically squishy balls. They're kind of like stress balls. They're basically the same size as stress balls, about 12 of them. And I just kind of toss the stress balls up. And, it's a lot smaller target. And so she has to hit those a lot harder because they're softer. And it just helps her with her hand-eye coordination. Another thing we do is one-handed. So she'll do one-hand hits, and then one-hand top hand hits, and then two-hand hits. And she'll even do it from her knees too. I watched that on YouTube. Everything if you haven't learned about me so far, everything I learned on YouTube. So you could do it too.
No.
I'm doing this podcast because of YouTube. I learned everything on YouTube. I learned these graphics on YouTube. So everything to be honest with you, even everything I do in marketing at my own job, I learned most of it is relevant on YouTube or a blog. I mean, I have a Clemson MBA. Don't get me wrong. It works. It's great. It's great to have. It's right back there on the floor because I haven't hung it up yet. But a lot of the stuff I've learned is on YouTube. Anthony Weeks says, hey guys, what's up, Anthony? Bill says, great game against Notre Dame today. Some terrific defensive plays by Maddie Moore. Oh man, what a hot rocket off of the left third base side, man. She just caught that. I mean, it was like literally just milliseconds. That's one thing I love about softball. The infield, if you hit a ball in the infield, man, in baseball, the shortstop can go order a hot dog, a drink, do a cartwheel, talk with the umpire, and then throw it to first and still have time to get the guy out. In softball, you cannot make a mistake. You can't even really think. You literally have to catch the ball and throw it instantly. There is no patting the ball. There is no doing a little, straddle steps, shuttle move over. It is, you have to grab it and throw. You have little room for error.
No, yeah. I agree.
Stephen Brown Branham gets in and says, how is Adam Randall doing? Do y'all know? Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
Yeah. I mean,
I haven't heard anything.
The ACL is still very much torn, or at least he has had it repaired. It's not torn.
It's not still torn.
Or it's not still torn, but it's still very much injured. So we just kind of gotta.
He's in very much recovery.
He's in very much recovery right now. Yeah.
A lot of what you do at the very beginning is balance work. I mean, I'm sure what he does is a lot different than what I did when I tore my ACL. But at the very beginning, a lot of it's just moving it back and forth, and then also just standing on one leg. Like a flamingo. I mean, just learning how to rebalance your leg off of your knee is a big deal. Bill says, as we already mentioned, Rochard probably not starting for Virginia Tech tomorrow since she pitched a lot today. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Let's go.
Anthony Weeks says, I like your piece about GT. Houston, tell us a little bit about your piece about GT.
Yes, rubbingtherock.com. Go there and look at my piece called Heartbreak Hate in Georgia Tech, and share it amongst everyone. Like, share. To everyone on Facebook and your socials.
Hey man, don't promote your side gig on my show.
Whoa, hey, shout out to the boys that run Rubbing the Rock, Marty the Seldom Used Reserve, Casey the Beef Cregan, John Chansey, all great people.
Let me tell you something. The content on Rubbing the Rock is top level. It's not clickbait. It has been in the past. Now it is great content from guys all over the country. And I just saw where they added Susan Lloyd. So got in, some other voices outside of the sports world and getting some new perspectives. So I'm excited.
Yeah, we're doing great things. Share it, like it, visit us all the time.
All right, so Edward Schumpert gets in and says, if we lose Reed, the tight end commit, who else are we targeting? Now, before we get into that, let's just parking lot that. All right, so everybody knows what he's talking about, what he's concerned about is that recently Oklahoma has offered Reed McKeska. So he's from Texas. Oklahoma has recently offered him, and it is rumored from people that I've heard, not from places I've read, because I don't read anything. People have told me that he's looking into visiting Oklahoma. So if he's got to visit, well, you know the policy. Houston, do you think that's a good policy or not? I mean, I get it, but that's one of those things. Remember the other question, people hating on Dabo in the forums. Is it still a good policy or is it kind of outdated?
I mean, I think it's a good policy. I mean, think about it. It's better to get this over with now than to have to wait, him go to Oklahoma, and then 6 months of being toyed with, well, I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking about that. It's like, nah, we're going to go visit. Fine. You can come back. Reed McKeska might not like it. Come back to his commitment. We've had that happen before. But, it's better to have this happen instead of, I think back of the days of like letting recruits kind of dictate the terms of this. It can put you in an advantageous position, kind of like what happened with the 2013 class. We gave Clemson gave Robert Kimdichie everything that he wanted. They offered all of his friends, which actually some of his friends were lower tier recruits that turned out to be great, like Ryan Carter and Wayne Gallman. He was able to visit and do whatever he wanted, do all this, that, and the other, and then he decommitted ultimately. So I think they learned from that. It's just, hey, you want to visit, fine, but don't say you're committed to us. Like, if you're committed to us, you're committed to us. And that's his pitch, is what Dabo is saying. So I get it. I would rather Dabo say, hey, you're committed to us as a team, and then come back to us if you want to visit, than that. So it's fine.
All right. So we'll look at the roster sheet before we leave. John Chansey says, cheers to the volunteer coaches. Thank you for that. Mark Palmer says, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. Oliver Hill, Dabo always has a plan no matter what the Twitter gangsters say. I think you got to remember that. He has a plan. He's always had a plan, and he knows what to do. I think he knows what he wants to do to where he can sleep good at night. There's a lot of things you can do, Houston. There's a lot of things you can do. A lot of things are starting to get cracked down on because people are like, hey, this is kind of shady. And I think Dabo has always kept himself in a situation where, hey, at least he can sleep well at night. And you know what? I mean, more power to him. I mean, there's not enough people that are doing that in high-level positions, to be honest with you. John Sarian, 2 natties for Dabo. Still more than Kirby right now. Very true. Very true. And, if it wasn't for a torn ACL in that game, he probably wouldn't have a trophy himself because you wasn't going to stop Jameson Williams.
That is, I would 100% agree with you on that.
Mr. You Mad Bra says, hey, everybody, and go Tigers. John Sarian says, he brings in family, and 5 heart guys, according to the haters. 5 heart guys, not 5
No,
star guys.
no. Six. We keep getting those boys from Daniel High School that we keep recruiting. Here's another thing. I don't understand why Clemson fan, not anybody that's listening to this, because I feel like a lot of people discussing here are sensible. But why do we scoff as fans at South Carolina recruits, like our in-state recruits, I should say, our in-state South Carolina recruits? Because you get a kid from Daniel, and you know what they've done? They've probably played for a state championship, which is more than 90% of the people in this state, or a kid from Dorman, or a kid from Dutch Fork. Like, we should not, as a fan base, scoff at that. Now, if you can't build your entire program off of that, but I think this holier-than-thou attitude towards kids that come in from Daniel or Dorman or wherever is kind of, it's not very fair, and I don't like it when people do that.
Message boards are no different than Twitter or any other social media. Alcoon says, "What's wrong with these people? I can't think of another coach I would swap Dabo for. That includes Saban." Hit Wonder 101. I said one hit wonder, not a one hit wonder. Hit Wonder 101 says, "Hey guys, go Tigers, go Tigers." Al says, "I admire Dabo for not hiring these named coaches, quote, who go from one school to another, i.e. Kevin Steele, loyalty, character, integrity are at the top of the list. All in matters."
I think there's only one coach out there, and I kind of knew the situation of why he didn't come that I wish would be on staff, or two. There's two that in the future, if movement happens, or three. Actually, no, there's three. There's three guys, but they're all tied to Dabo, basically. They used to be on staff that I feel like that would be Chancey Stuckey at Notre Dame, who is murdering recruiting right now. I'd love to have him on staff one day. Zach Alley, who I think is at ULM right now, or he might be at Jacksonville State with Rich Rodriguez. He was a stud. And then my boy, Cameron Aiken, who's the run game coordinator at USF. Hopefully, if there is an opportunity.
My boy.
Yeah. Oh, Cameron Aiken, I got stories. We were on the same mission group team when we went with FCA to Memphis back in 2010. And it was super fun. Love the guy to death. Hope he does well. I hope he gets back to Clemson. But those are the only three. It's not like the name guys that I would want are Clemson guys. That's the thing.
Brent Jones, go Clemson. Go Clemson. Bible Belt Beauty says you can basically get a college degree on YouTube. That's true.
Yeah.
Also says, how did John know we're all butt guys? John, it was an educated guess. He says, I was guessing. Ricky over on Facebook says, will Clemson's baseball team make the regionals? Houston, I'll give this one to you. I have no idea.
I mean, dealing with Clemson baseball this year is like dealing with a bag of cats. Like, I don't know. Like, this weekend's going to go a long way to determining that. If they come out and get swept, I think you can pretty much seal that deal and anything that comes with it. And so I don't know. It just depends really on this weekend. This is the last major chance to bolster their resume for the end of the year.
Bible Belt Beauty says, LOL, go Tigers. Bad LOL for, I guess that's what that says. I don't know. Bad LOL for, bad LOL for. A Clemson player has said 95% of DJ's troubles are he can't handle pressure. He said he loses all control when he gets any kind of pressure. I mean, the thing is, he's played in high pressure games and won, and gone into the media afterwards and said 18 points, no big deal.
I think it's a lot of things that get lost, similar to what we were talking about earlier about all these things that people are trying to assess. Is there's a lot of nuance. And I feel like with DJ's situation, there's a lot of nuance going on, whether it's his mechanics, personal life, pressure of the game, offense, scheme, whatever. I think there's a lot of things. And, the thing about it is he's going against the best defense he's going to face all year in the spring game this year. And he made some good throws. I'm not saying he's won the job forever, and I'm team. Let's see what happens the first few games. But I will also give him credit that there were 2 balls that he put up to Joseph Ngata that were pretty primo. They were great. One down the sideline, and the one that they called a sack that was not a sack. It was actually a face mask on KJ Henry. That was a great ball, though.
What can you really tell from spring? I mean,
yeah.
I think the schedule, and we mentioned this many times, I think the schedule, he is already at the beginning of the year proven for teams that he can already beat. So to me, this notion that he's going to lose his job, he would have had to have performed worse than he already has, and he beat those teams. So I don't know. I mean, he would have to be worse than last year. And please tell me this guy can't be worse than last year. I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, here's the thing. If he's, if you take out half the interceptions and add those to touchdowns, that's instead of going 9 of 10, you go 15 and 5. Those numbers aren't lighting the world on fire whatsoever. But a 15 and 5 year from him probably means that Clemson has won comfortably in most of its games. I won't say comfortably, but they're not, losing 27-17 or in double overtime to NC State. They win, if not all their games, if he just cuts his numbers and the turnovers and makes 5 or 6 more touchdowns come out.
John says, Louisville Clemson can't compete with the big schools like Houston suggests. Dabo has to be different or unique. I think he means like you suggested. Including you commit 100% to Clemson, I'll commit 100% to you. And I think so too. I think I like Dabo's policy of saying, hey, if you commit to us, that means you're not walking around like trying to visit all these other schools. Go ahead, get all that out of your system, and then commit. The problem where I have it is when you don't follow that rule, and we have heard that Clemson does everything they can to stop players from committing, to tell you, hey, if you haven't taken all your visits, don't commit. Wait for it. Make sure you know. Unfortunately, with this tight end situation with Reed McKeska, we're in a situation where he wasn't offered by Oklahoma. Now he has been, but he's committed to Clemson. And to be honest with you, I want to slap Brent Venables over this, but I'm gonna be okay and give him a pass here. But I think it's a little bit, frustrating knowing that it's Oklahoma. But basically, now from what I'm hearing is he wants to go visit Oklahoma. Who wouldn't want to visit Oklahoma? You should. But if you had these inklings of wanting to visit other schools, you shouldn't have committed. So now the problem is publicly it's going to be announced more than likely that if this kid indeed, in fact, wants to go visit, which is his right and he should, then he has to decommit from Clemson, which is then going to make Clemson look bad because it's going to just add fuel to the fire of the haters. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it ends up hurting Clemson for this policy, but I actually like the policy. But
no, I'd rather it's early on. Just let it ride. It's okay.
Al says yes. Dabo's policy on commitment is solid. Otherwise, don't call it a commitment. Mm-hmm. Joey gets in on Facebook and says thoughts on Dabo being the poster child, calling out the current NIL issues in college football. Well, I think that what's happened is they've kind of done a 180 on him. They originally drug his name through the mud, and now they're saying, you know what, Dabo was actually right.
Yeah, well, they won't say Dabo's right. The media will never say Dabo. They won't
say it, but they're not attacking him anymore.
They'll be like, well, an abundance of coaches have now said that,
including Nick Saban,
and Lane Kiffin, but not Dabo's. I mean, he's the worst. He's a terrible person.
High school football is no joke. Very underrated. Mm-hmm. Joey also gets in talking about our other subject. He also hit Justin Ross for 2 touchdowns in OT against NC State that were flat out dropped.
Mm-hmm. Valid criticism there. I can see that.
Hit Wonder 101. Think about Hunter, Myrtle Beach. Definitely an underrated player that is not your typical 5-star guy. John says, if Oklahoma offered McKeska after he committed, I think it's a reason to be angry with Brent Venables. I've already said it kind of frustrates me. Houston, what do you think?
Well, I mean, it's the game. You know, they're not under our roof, under Clemson's roof anymore. All is fair in love and war, man. And so, is it something that's frustrating? Yeah, I think they between Dabo and Brent, they kind of made their rules of engagement on the current commits that was in last year's class.
Yeah, true.
Anything they want.
And Brent Venables stuck to it and actually did not really pursue
Jaron Koenig.
He
made Jaron Koenig walk on. So I mean, it was true to it.
And Jaron is no walk on by any means.
No, he's a very good, but he made him like,
you know what? Jaron Koenig video that we did, the recruiting evaluation, is our most popular video ever made, over 14,000 views.
That's great. That's awesome. I'm so glad we made that video for an Oklahoma commit.
That's the second player that never ended up going to Clemson. That is our most popular video.
Hey, time out. I want to bring this up. I want to bring this up. Do you realize how much I complained about not being included on the recruit videos that had audio of you and Alan describing them? Do you know who those two commits were, Morgan?
We also had two commits that used our voices in their commit video to Clemson, only to later decommit.
Yes, there you go. So okay, I'm feeling good now. My voice was not included on that. So,
which, by the way,
I'm committed to Clemson.
By the way, I could sue that production company that did that. By the way, they those guys at IMG, they paid, their mamas and daddies paid big money for that video to be edited. I should have sued.
You should have been like, I'll drop this lawsuit if you commit to Clemson.
Hey, it wouldn't be any different than what you see at Texas A&M.
This is very true. Yeah.
Bad LOL says that's what a player said. I don't know. By the way, we don't ever attack fans on here. We're just going off your comment. So it's not you personal. This is the guy that mentioned 95% of DJ's troubles. We read your comment. Hey, this is a free space for all Clemson fans and non-Clemson fans alike too. Vent your frustrations. Give us your questions. I mean, please be welcome for sure. Because
I think we're
not ragging on you at all.
That wasn't at bad LOL. I think that's just going back to what we were talking about. The general consensus in these Moss Isley-esque message boards. If you get that reference, then you kind of get it. Like, I don't think that's coming down to your comment. I think with that, maybe it is. Like, if a player told you that, I mean, we got players from a lot of different programs watching our show. Cooper Ingle, if you're out there, go win at Virginia this weekend. But it's just one of those things I kind of was on my soapbox for.
So Colin Cowherd does Herdline News. I should do something. I should do like the Morgue Line News. What do you think? The Morgue Line News.
That sounds like he's dead.
Yeah. Mo Line News.
No, I don't know. Call it the I don't know, like the
I don't know. We'll think about it. All right, so let's go over to Bleacher Report. Let's look at some of the news that's coming out right now. ACC considering new college football scheduling format would eliminate divisions. The ACC championship game could look drastically different as soon as the 2023 college football campaign. According to Andrea Adelson and David Hale of ESPN, Commissioner Jim Phillips and multiple athletic directors discussed a new scheduling model that could have teams play 3 permanent opponents, then rotate the other 5 over a 2-year period. It's called the 3-5-5 format and would eliminate divisions and give programs more year-to-year variety in their schedules. Phillips said, you want your 2 best teams to have a chance to play at the end of the year for a lot of reasons. So that's why it's taken us, you may think, a little bit longer, but it really isn't. We're really very much on track. But again, we want to make sure we've talked to everybody to see if we are missing something here. All right. Yeah. So Houston, I actually love this idea. Dabo Sweeney came out and said, anybody who plays 4 years at a university should be able to play every team in your doggone conference. I agree. James Skalski has played 69 games and I don't even think has played every ACC team. I am making this up completely. I have not done any research, but it is entirely possible.
I'm thinking about this, the places that he didn't play at. He's never played at, or he was a freshman in 16, right? So that means he never played. Well, I guess he did play at Pitt, played Virginia Tech in 18, never played at Duke, 1920. And then on top of that, he didn't play at Virginia. So that's 2 schools he didn't play at over the 6-year span.
Now you mean at
Virginia? He played every other school because you got to remember, COVID was funky, so he got to play some teams that he wouldn't have got to play because of that. But he played everybody home and away. Well, no, I take that back. He didn't get to play Virginia Duke at Virginia and Duke. He didn't get to play Virginia Tech at home. He didn't get to play. Let me think. Sorry, I'm doing this really quick math in my head. He didn't get to play North Carolina at home. So he got two teams that he didn't get to play home and away.
According to our friends over at the Troy Noons is a absolutemagician.com. What a name. Syracuse SB Nation website over there that we've had on the show in the past, many years ago, but still. They put out the following rivals for each team. They put for Clemson, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Wake Forest. Now, I was shocked by that because I thought you would put Georgia Tech, Florida State, or I thought you would put, if you're going to put them in order, Florida State, NC State, Georgia Tech. That's what I would put.
I was reading TCI. Sorry, spoiler, I read TCI. I
read anything that has Clemson.
They had Georgia Tech, NC State, and Florida State. And that's who I think would be the more likely 3. And I want to point this out, too. Not only do you have an easy model to play all 4 years and play every team in every venue, if 2 extra teams were to join, like if you get Notre Dame or West Virginia or some combo, Notre Dame stays independent, you get like West Virginia and TCU or something. All you got to do is drop one of the nonchalant games like Troy or Georgia Southern or whatever, have a 9-game schedule, and then it becomes a 3-6-6 model. So 6 on, 6 off. So you still get to play everybody.
Wax on, wax off, 6 on, 6 off. I like it.
Yep.
So another thing is there was some concern, particularly for teams like Florida State, Georgia Tech, and Miami, who seem to be under their model playing more difficult rivals every single year. Kind of like Chipper Jones complaining about having to play Boston every single year. When you look at Miami, they would have to play Florida State, Boston College, Virginia Tech every single year. I don't know. In their model, this is their model, by the way. Florida State would have to play Miami, Clemson, Georgia Tech every year.
Florida State wouldn't play Georgia Tech. Florida State would have to play Miami and Clemson because it's their rivals. I think Florida State would end up playing like Pitt or Boston College or Syracuse or something like that.
So not even really. I mean, are you saying that because they're a rival, or saying that because to offset the power?
It would be something. I mean, the way that I see it is they would play a northern school because there are some schools that they've had like historical moments that they want to recapture. That's sometimes what kind of drives that. So, like, for instance, I could see them playing Virginia because of what happened in the mid-'90s and the streak being broken and Scott Field being flooded with fans because
if you're going to do 3 rivals, to me, it has to have some sort of resemblance of a rival. I mean, it can't just be.
Well, I could see them adding someone. I could see them adding somebody like Louisville. You think about Lamar Jackson and how he shocked everybody by going off on them, or how they played them. I believe it was their 2001 or 2002 driving rainstorm in Louisville, and Louisville ends up upsetting then number 3 or 4 Florida State in double overtime. So I could see something like that. There's historical significance. I don't think you have Georgia Tech because when I think about Florida State and Georgia Tech, I don't see them as rivals. Like, they know each other and play each other, and they've had some crazy moments, but I don't think of them as rivals. I think it would be something like Florida State would play a major market team since they still hold a brand. That's why I think they would play Syracuse, Boston College, or Pitt, or they would play some sort of historical significance team like Virginia or Louisville.
Bill gets in and says a good thing, interesting note. The 3-5-5 plan means every ACC team would come to Death Valley over a 4-year period. Current system, it takes 12 years to see every ACC school. I don't even understand. This is according to Tim Beret. I don't even understand how this got approved. 12 years?
The problem was it was when Syracuse and Pitt came in. Shocker. That this got approved. It used to be that when you had an 8-game model with 12 teams, you could play 12 teams within Death Valley within a 4-year span because you had multiple teams you were playing. Now is like, oh, well, this whole like 1 game a year against another team, they should have scrapped divisions, but they had no way to do that. They should have scrapped divisions a long time ago, so they could have moved to this model a lot sooner.
Britt Jones gets in, says, LOL, the Karate Kid. I'm glad somebody gets my lame jokes. John Sarian says, only acceptable pod to me is Clemson, Notre Dame, FSU, and Miami. Notre Dame, FSU, Miami. Now, this model does not include FSU or does not include Notre Dame.
I would say if they come in permanent, which look, whenever there's expansion, I don't know if Notre Dame's going to be in the conference or not, because Notre Dame seems to be content if they're going to be independent to stay that way and just say, all right, we won't be a top 4 seed, but we'll just have an extra game, an extra home game to play in, or we'll just make the playoffs anyway. I don't know. If they do make it, great. I don't think they'll be one of Clemson's permanent rivals because there's too many other rivals in the Northeast for Notre Dame for us to be one of them.
All right, let's get into a quick check-in with our Twitter roster. We'll say our 2023 big board. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
And let me pull it up here on my side. Let me share my screen. We shall share the screen. And let's see. There we go. All right, we're going to load the screen in here real quick. All right, hopefully you can see that. This is my Google spreadsheet that I've made of the current players that are offered to go to Clemson. Chris Alexander, I didn't miss your question there. He says, how do you guys feel about DJ this year? We're currently on a different subject, so I'm going to try to come back to that. So hold me to it. Hold me to it before we leave. All right, so what I have done is over the past, 6 months or so, I started creating a spreadsheet that has Clemson player, or not Clemson players, but high school players that are currently in the 2023 class that are offered by Clemson. And I have slowly tweaked it over time, and I've separated it by position. And I've started to add in little emojis because, I'm a graphic design kind of freaky here. So I like to add in the fun little emojis. But if you've noticed, I started out adding a little tiger emoji. Then I added a little fireball emoji. I basically went off of what I saw on Clemson 24/7, which is free access there. They get the little tiger if they've committed to Clemson. They get the fire if they're currently warm or warmer, according to 24/7. And then I say 247. I think it's 24/7. I don't know. I'm not saying it right. 24/7. Yeah. And then I just recently added in the stars, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star. And today I went through and added in the snowflake. Now, Houston, I know you're scratching your beard thinking, what does a snowflake mean? Well, the snowflake means that they are cold. It means that I have researched that player and they have either come out and said Clemson is not in the hunt, or they've come out and said they're top 5, top 10, top 7, top 8, top 4, and Clemson was not in that group. So obviously, if you're not in your fancy Haynes Fawcett graphic, then you're ice cold or you're a snowflake. And if you're not a Clemson fan, then you're a snowflake too, probably. We'll just talk about snowflakes as a bad thing. All right. So looking at quarterback, I think nobody has any shocker there. I think what we'll try to do is every week, if it's significant enough, we'll touch base on this. And if you follow us on Twitter at the Morgan T Show, this is on our Twitter account, and Houston at Radio Guy
Houston.
He comments on stuff like this too. So Houston, you should reshare it. So either way, you can see it. But the quarterback position is pretty cut and dry. Clemson's already got their man. He's from Alabama, Vizina. And then you have Arch Manning, who was originally their guy they went after. Obviously, Arch Manning said, hey, Clemson's out of the mix. And so he is there. So we're moving on with that, right? Now, running back. You've got 3 running backs offered: Richard Young, Justice Haynes, Cedric Baxter. Here's my first concern, something that we heard about on the radio on Mickey Plyler's show this morning after Paul Strelo came on and talked about the running back. Everybody wants to talk about what's happening at running back. There's a lot of fans that got in on the text line, Houston, that are saying they're concerned about CJ Spiller's progress as a recruiter. If you look here, there's 3 snowflakes there. That means that Young, Haynes, and Baxter have all come out, and what I can find online, Clemson is not in the mix. Is that cause for concern for you? And also, if you're in the chat, let us know what's your are you concerned or not too? We want to know what you think.
I mean, on surface level, you can say, "Oh, it's concerning." I'm not going to get too concerned with any of these positions until really it gets close to signing day. This isn't going to be a situation there. I feel like you would be naive to believe it's going to stay at 3 offers. And if it does, maybe I'm naive, but I have a feeling that in the next 3 weeks, you'll see 2 or 3 more offers go out, maybe even more. They're going to get some guys in camp, names like Sam Singleton, Jeremiah Cobb, Jarvis Green. There's another name I can't remember for the life of me, but there's a few running backs that they've been talking to. Another kid out of Florida that was just mentioned, not Robinson. I can't remember his last name. There's going to be names pop up and that aren't even on here, and that's the thing. Like, you got to realize running back is one of these positions that you might not know about a name. We didn't know who Andrew Paul was until right before
later. Later. It's not always good to be late on the game, though.
No, but at the same time, Clemson found the guy. He didn't get many major offers until Clemson did. And then
according to JP Priester, June 3rd visitors, no running backs on the list.
And I feel like that might be something that they take into the year. Like it's not something that you have to focus on right now, because I'll quote what Allen has said offline, is it's not necessarily a primary concern because it's a wide receiver game. It's not a running back game. If you get a great running back, awesome, great. You got Travis Etienne, we got spoiled to it. So if you can find a solid running back out of this, awesome. It doesn't have to be right now, and I'm not very concerned.
All right, so we'll move on to the wide receiver position. You got obviously Ray Joseph, Nathaniel Joseph, wide receiver, committed to Clemson, even though Miami seems to be making a very heavy push here. Now, Houston, I had shared my concerns, with Mario Cristobal coming in, that I was concerned that Clemson is going to have more pressure. But you have reassured me in the past that Clemson has always dealt with guys that were seen as high-level recruiters. So Mario Cristobal added in the mix is really no different than what they've had in the past, right?
No, I'll say this. There's nuance with this one. I know that it's the perception is he's going to decommit, and he could. I want to preface that. Like, I'm not going to say Nathaniel Joseph will be in a Clemson uniform next year. I don't know. You don't know with the recruiting. It's recruiting. I'm a recruiter in my day job. You don't know some things that are going to happen. And so I think the thing that we got to realize is the biggest pressure isn't coming from Mario Cristobal. It's coming from his head high school coach, who, if you've never heard of Luther Campbell and 2 Live Crew or never seen the You documentary, he's in that. So have a person who's been pushing for Miami for all of his players for a long, long time.
Luther Campbell
is his coach. And so I don't know. You just got to know that Nathaniel Joseph might really want to go to Clemson, but he's under an
Well, he
incredible
committed.
amount.
He was the first ever commit for this class,
Yeah,
so he's got
he's
to want
under
to go to Clemson at a pretty high interest level there.
yeah, and so he's under an incredible amount of pressure, and that's kind of how I see this as. Could he? Maybe we'll know probably in a few weeks, but I just want to put that out there. He's being scrutinized from more than just some college coaches.
Brent Jones says, "I know who Tulai Crew is. Come on now, Luther Sky Campbell." All right, so for the wide receivers, again, on the offered side, you got Brandon Ennis, the guy that decommitted from Oklahoma. I assume a lot of the big schools are in it, but Clemson doesn't seem to be in it in his newly posted, not newly posted, but his post decommit post of his top schools did not include Clemson, even though he was offered originally. So I put a snowflake there. Noah Rogers, really no indication from him right now. Christian Hamilton, no indication. Tyler Williams is got a warmer rating from 24/7 Sports. So Tyler Williams is one we probably should do a video on. And then Ronan Hannafin, also don't really know. Do you agree with the Tyler Williams heat right there from 247?
Yeah, I mean, none of these guys are over. Like everybody thought Noah Rogers was out of the mix, but apparently he's a little bit more open to things. It's going to be kind of a crapshoot through the summer as far as who's visiting where. Tyler Williams could be a guy that commits. We just kind of have to see where it lands with some of the Florida schools, with him being in Florida. I'm going to say this pretty much for every position. The board is going to expand for most positions. So don't be surprised if you see a handful of names pop up for wide receiver as well.
I'll be honest with you. When you look at the past, they do stick around 100 or so, give or take, every year, and they right now have 83-ish, give or take, 81 on 247, 80, I think 83 or 4 on Rivals, depending on who you go with what the offers are out there, which is kind of weird that one site has more offers than the other. I don't know why. Some people might have more insight than others, or maybe one's old or not. I don't know, updated or not. I tried to use the mix between two because I got a lot of backlash on Twitter that when I only used 247, a lot of things were wrong. So then I went to Rivals and updated it. So I tried to use 247 star rating, but Rivals roster and current totals. Okay, so going on to tight end, we've got Reed McKeska here, who, again, we talked about earlier on in the show, is probably going to want to go and visit Oklahoma, which would cause some concern there. We will wait to see. We've already talked about it. Deuce Robinson, Jelani Thurman, and Jackson Howard have all talked about how they enjoy Clemson and have them in their top schools. I don't see any tight ends listed on the June 3 visitors from JP Priester over at allclemson.com. So I'm not really sure what's going on with tight end. And as a Clemson fan perspective, to me, if I'm a tight end player, I want to see more production from the tight end. I think you will see it this year with Brenningstool getting older and, being more experienced. And I think he's skilled enough to and we saw in the spring game, he got a lot of looks from Cade Klubnik. So I like what I see, or what I feel like is going to happen with Brenningstool.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Brenningstool, and once again, the board will expand. Jelani Thurman's a name that I'm intrigued in. See the conversations with him. He seems really excited about Clemson, even though he's a Georgia kind of legacy player. I don't know how many tight ends Georgia is taking or have taken. I'm sure that they'll try to figure out a way to strong arm their way into that recruitment. But you never know. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see McKeska stay on board, but it's good to get that out of the way if he wants to go visit. And
John says isn't McKeska wanting to go on an official visit? That's not just a visit.
Yeah, well, yes and no. I mean, it is a visit. It's one of those that Dabo was saying that I don't want you going on official. as far as that goes, or an unofficial. But
Casey Cregan gets in over on Facebook, says, what's the draw to Oklahoma as a tight end? I don't really understand the McKeska lure there. Other than location, maybe,
I mean, I guess you could
team
say
ties.
Andrews and Stogner came through there. That's been pretty good, but
Came through there.
yeah, I mean, they're not.
Stogner
Andrews
showed
is a
up
good
and
tight
tore
end.
both his calf muscles. Now isn't he at South Carolina now?
Yeah, he's at South Carolina. Andrews was a good tight end. He's with the Ravens. But that's really the only tight end that I know of that's come through Oklahoma. Um, I don't.
Well, the good
really
thing
remember.
is on the offensive side, you still got a lot of openings there. We already know we have basically they're going to have to start offering more running backs. We know that for sure. The running backs that they have already offered are basically off the board. But the rest of the board is kind of open until you get to offensive linemen, and you got a big mixture here. Luke Montgomery already committed. Sam Pendleton going to Notre Dame. Joshua Miller committed to Penn State. We are hearing now that Sullivan Absher, who was originally a crystal ball to Clemson, is now crystal balled to Notre Dame. And so all indications are he's a snowflake and going to go to Notre Dame. So eventually we assume he will be in the red line there with Sam Pendleton. So that Clemson has now lost out 2 offensive tackles to Notre Dame, which was cause for some frustration this morning over on the Mickey Plyler show. But when you look down that list, Monroe Freeling, we really don't know yet. We really haven't seen anything. Olaus Alainen does not have Clemson in his top schools, so he's a snowflake. Zachariah Owens is crystal balled and is warm rating on 247. But get this, Houston, Owens is crystal balled by 3 guys from the Big Spur. And
Well, so we're talking about Zachariah Owens as far as his commitment as well. Sorry, I'm looking up the 13th offensive lineman commits name right now because they just offered a kid 5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago. Okay, well, this is not up to date as 5 minutes. I'm sorry, everybody in the
Stanton,
chat.
they just offered Stanton Ramel, 6'7", 310, number 9 offensive tackle out of Alabama. So Zachariah Owens could be. I would say I'm surprised that he seemed impressionable at first, but he's coming to the official visit on June 3rd. I feel like that's a chance to maybe even seal the deal.
Let's go back to that June 3rd visitors. You've got Ian Reed, Marquis Anderson, Zachariah Owens, and Harris Sewell as far as JP Priester's allclemson.com list.
Yeah, and those 3 are honestly the most that I'm intrigued with. I mean, Monroe Freeling, if Clemson's able to land him, awesome. Love it. If they're able to get this Ramel kid, awesome. I love it. But the 3 that are coming are the 3 that I'm most intrigued with. I feel like with Zachariah Owens, he's a monster. He is a big, big body offensive tackle that if you're able to get someone of that stature and nature, I think that's going to be awesome for Clemson. But the 2 out of Texas are something that I'm really keeping an eye on. Clemson is able to go out to some of these places that you wouldn't expect Clemson to be able to have prevalence, but they're able to just flip that switch and turn that interest for a couple people that are able to vibe with what Clemson's selling. And I think Ian Reed and Harris Sewell is one that I thought that would not come to this. And here we are. It's June, and he's coming for an official visit. So something's there. Something's there with Harris Sewell, and something's there with Ian Reed. If you're from Texas and you're not necessarily enamored with your home state schools and you're looking outward, looking for something different, they're in the mix more than I think people want to give them credit for. So I'm interested to see. I feel pretty comfortable where Clemson is offensive line recruiting right now. I know everybody else wants to just, weep and wail and gnash teeth that we haven't got five stars already lined up, but I think they're in good shape with who they're offering. It's just kind of where the chips fall at this point.
Again, you've got 3 ones that are cold on Clemson, 3 that have already committed to other universities, and then you got 4 that are hot and visiting, and then 2 that are up in the air and we'll have yet to see and know anything. Again, this is all based off of stuff we've gotten as we do our Google search here. Going down, and we're going to transition over to the defensive line or defensive side of the ball. Now, this is where a lot of people gave me flack on Twitter that I didn't have it right. I went based off of 247's list, and they had guys at a defensive line that were not defensive linemen, that were actually more edge guys. They had guys at edge that were outside linebackers. So I just went to rivals.com and switched it up and went off of their roster positions. And it overwhelmingly loaded it to the defensive end, weak side or strong side defensive end, and left only a few defensive tackles. So before I had like 9 and 9. Now I have like 17 and 3. So it's a big lopsided here, which I don't know if this is right or wrong. We can try to correct this as we go, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
I think
when we look at the defensive ends here, we've got David Ojebwe is obviously a commit that we just recently got. And then the rest, you've got a giant list here with a ton of guys that are on fire here. Houston, everybody's asking about Vic Burley. Is there anybody else that we should be looking at other than Vic Burley that you like?
I would say, first off, Vic Burley and Peter Woods are probably, in my opinion, they're going to be more defensive tackles. Maybe I've completely misread that situation, but
wait, say this again.
Vic Burley and Peter Woods, I thought they were going to be tackles.
Well, see, now they're defensive linemen on 247, but then on Rivals, they're strong side defensive ends.
I could be wrong. I'm not sure. I mean, they're cross training like offensive linemen do anyway. So, I mean, at this point, just load up like that.
In the chat, let me know if you're watching. Would you rather me do it like this or do it like the other way, where it's like edge and defensive line, where defensive line is basically anything and edge is your actual edge guys?
Okay. Well, just going back to this though, I mean, you got a heavy haul coming into June 3rd with a lot of these guys, and they're all interested. And that's the best thing to hear. Like, you're in the mix with a lot of game changers. And rightfully so. You're losing out a ton of guys. Well, if you're able to land half of these guys, that's a solid haul. And I'll be honest, this board could grow as well. You're going to have some chips fall one way or another where you might land a lot of guys, but a few guys might go to Texas or Alabama or whatever. So you'll probably see a handful more of offers for this position at the end of the summer, just because that's kind of how Clemson goes. If they get the majority of this done, they'll have a handful of spots they can maybe get from going into the season.
John Sarian says Stanton Rammel and Peter Woods are teammates, I think.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Ooh, something.
He also says, I heard it pronounced Ojabe. Well, I'm telling you, Paul Strelo said Ojebwe. So I'm going with Paul. Robert Green, I respect the process Dabo has in place, but I would hate to miss out on a great homegrown talent. He also previously says, when do you think Clemson is going to offer 2024 wide receiver Mazeo Bennett out of Greenville High School? He has moved up to a 4-star and is a playmaker. He already has 12-plus offers. Houston, I don't know this guy at all. You may know him because you're near Greenville High School. We're not talking about 2024 right now. I typically, with these type of big boards, I try to wait until we actually see offers. I try not to speculate because I leave that job to Paul Strelo and the experts out there that speculate. I try to look at the guys that are for sure offered and look at what's for sure out there, what we can find publicly, and make assumptions off of that.
I feel like Mazeo Bennett is going to be one of the first offers when they officially start doing it here in 3 or 4 weeks. When it hits June 1, I think Mazeo Bennett is going to be somebody that gets an offer right off the jump. Jaden Davis at Providence Day in Charlotte's going to get an offer right off the jump. I want to say there might be a kid from Silver Bluff. Travion.
Where is that at?
Silver Bluff is down in the lower state area. They're a 2A school. I want to say he might get an offer as well. His name's Travion Dunbar. Smaller back, but I want to say he's going to be like an upper 3-4-star type back.
Why are you not getting paid to discuss this kind of stuff, Houston? I mean, the knowledge that you have, you need to have your own site.
Oh, no. I'm literally relaying. Well, I have just heard things that normal people can look up online, and I'm able to pull that from my mind.
All right, so we're looking through this. David Hicks, no indication. Mateo, no indication. No need to even go there with that. Peter Woods got some heat. Vic Burley, heat. Jaquavius Russell does not have Clemson in his top 5 or 4. I can't remember. Damon Wilson, no indication. Desmond Omeozulu, no indication. Kelby Collins does not have Clemson in his top 5. Derek LeBlanc, no indication. Keldrick Falk is actually, I believe, coming to camp on the third. Yep, he is. And then Hunter Osborne is warm. Rico Walker, nothing. Colton Bassick, TJ Searcy, AJ Hoffler, and Darren Reed. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys right now hot. Let's go look at JP's list of defensive linemen. Searcy's coming, Vassick's coming, Falk's coming, Osborne's coming, Hoffler, Woods, and Collins. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 defensive linemen coming in June. Somebody says very bleak recruiting news today.
I don't know why it's very bleak.
I mean, I guess maybe the McKeska stuff, I don't know.
Really. I don't know. I wouldn't call it bleak. It's early. Like, I look at this and I look at the defensive line. And
so John says no one seems to know what's going on with McKeska, if that's what you're asking. I guess that's maybe what he's talking about. All right, going to the defensive tackles. Really, if you go by the defensive tackles that are on Rivals, this is what this list, I adjusted it. Now I'm starting to hate it. The more I'm talking through it, I might even go back to the way I had it before and just forget the Twitter haters out there. But you've got three defensive tackles, and you've basically missed on all of them because Jordan Hall, Jamal Jarrett, and Keith Sampson, the 2 don't have Clemson in the list, and 1 has already committed to Florida State. All right, now moving on to linebacker. Now I do like this because of at least the positions outside linebacker, inside linebacker. But you got 2 there that don't have Clemson. The 2 top guys for outside linebacker and inside linebacker don't have Clemson in their top, Malik Bryant and Anthony Hill. But then you got 2 inside linebackers that really seem to be warm over Clemson. That's Troy Bowles and Grayson Howard. And Christopher Perez says, go back to the way you had it before. I will do that when we get off this. And then for outside linebacker, you have Jamal Anderson. So, and I also moved to Celia Kana, who was on 247 as a defensive end. Rivals has him as an outside linebacker. I'm not sure who's correct or not, but I'm just going with that. And so that's the list we have there. Really no indication of any kind of linebacker. Right now, any linebackers coming, you've got Jamal Anderson coming and Tony Rojas.
And I want to say D. Creighton might be coming as well. I don't think he's confirmed yet, but I think they're back on the I don't know. I don't know yet as far as that goes. I feel like those 3 are probably the biggest names, and maybe Grayson Howard, although I think Grayson Howard's probably going to end up at South Carolina potentially.
Grayson Howard. Okay. And then cornerback got 2 crystal balls, which I had Braxton Myers as a safety, but now I moved him to cornerback. I don't really know again. So crystal balled to Clemson, warm. Braden Marshall, warm. AJ Harris, warm, but I haven't heard anything about him. Tony Mitchell recently came out with his top teams, and Clemson wasn't on it. And then Brandon Strozier, who Paul Strullo was on Mickey Pilar's show and mentioned that he could be the next one to join the Clemson ranks. Maybe not, but so he's also crystal balled publicly from 24/7 Sports there. So 2 really they look pretty good as far as cornerbacks go right now, at least with the look of interest.
Yeah, I think Braxton Myers is going to end up at USC unless he's able to swing some things with this upcoming visit. I think they've actually heated back up things with Avion Terrell. Not saying that's going to happen or not.
Okay.
I know that there were some issues that they had there. Braden Marshall seems to be heating up. I know that,
Jordan Bowman gets in on the chat, says he also thinks USC for Myers.
yeah.
When you say USC, you mean the Gamecocks?
No.
You mean the actual, you mean the pay for play USC on the other side of the country?
The one that's more palpable to handle calling USC. That's the one. That's one that I say.
Avion Terrell, obviously, AJ Terrell's brother.
Yes.
He was offered, one of the youngest players to be offered by Clemson. Dabo doesn't normally offer like a freshman. I think in high school he did. So, or was it a sophomore at that time? I don't know.
Sophomore, I think. Yeah.
And then safeties, I got Caleb Downs, warm. Dakari Nelson, warm. Ramir Stewart has already released his, and Clemson's not on it. Jaden Bonsu, not on it. And then Robert Billings, no indication.
I feel like that's going to be one that the board gets expanded, or someone on their corners are actually offered as a safety. It would not surprise me. Caleb Downs is one that I'm curious. He's made 2 unofficial trips to Clemson kind of randomly, unannounced. Well, I wouldn't say unannounced, but the public and the media were not aware of. And then all of a sudden, Caleb Downs is in Clemson just chilling with Mickey Khan. And so I don't know. Like, you don't do that. You don't do that and not have some interest. I think Caleb Downs could be someone that, if he's still available going into the season, if Clemson comes out looking like gangbusters going into, say, Notre Dame, and they look good, he could be someone they could end up getting.
And then you've got your athletes there: Nichols Harbor, Jonel Aguero, Lewis Carter, Bryce Thornton, Musa Kane, Kalen Webb. 3 of those guys, Harbor, Aguero, and Thornton, have come out with a list saying, this is their top teams, and Clemson's not on it. Now, Harbor they had a video of him running at a track meet, and at the end it said he's listed his 2 between USC and Michigan, and then he came back and said, no, I never said that. But it's kind of clear to me that Clemson's not in the mix no matter what. So I went ahead and put a snowflake for him too. But so 3 athletes there listed that don't really have Clemson in the mix as well. So again, there's a big mix of guys that seem to be very interested in Clemson, and that are signed up to come in June and visit. But then there's definitely a lot in there that Clemson needs to decide what they're going to do. Are they going to replace the ones that are definitely not coming with new offers? And Houston, as you mentioned, as we get further on into the the summer, there has to be more offers to come out.
There will be. I mean, I'm just saying, go through camp season, and that changes a lot of things, not just for this class, but for 2024. You get a first glance at what they're looking at and kind of who the hot names are going to be. I know they've already offered 2 guys as sophomores. There'll be more coming here in about 3 weeks. So the main thing I want to point out is, don't buy into the narrative of bleak recruiting nature. It's recruiting. This is someone who, I don't say where I work or anything, but I work for a very, I would say for our industry, we're like the Alabama of recruiting, and we still don't get people that we think we can get. It's not the end of the world. And this is May, when you've got something, like as fickle as college recruiting, it could flip on a dime. You could have an amazing June 3rd visit, and half these guys might commit, like within a few weeks. It could change the course of this class. Just be patient. And likewise, there are names on this list that won't be added until the middle of next season or the end of next season that could turn into game changers, like, I don't know, Travis Etienne or Isaiah Simmons, or names like Kayvon Wallace, guys that were late additions before signing day. It is a marathon and not a sprint. So just don't buy into the narrative just yet.
Stanton Rammel, 6'7", 310, 4-star overall, 19th best offensive tackle out of Alabaster. What is up with Clemson and Alabaster? They keep going to the well there. That is like, to me, Alabaster is is like going after Daniel High School. I mean, it's not easy because that's kind of like that is like most of the time. That's like Lakeland, with the way Florida and Lakeland is, the pipeline, Alabaster guys usually that Clemson has gone after, they haven't been able to land. So maybe the luck can change with this offensive tackle.
We'll see. I mean, you always got to take a swing when they come from Thompson High School down in Alabaster. At Thompson, the best way I can say what they are, they're probably an equivalent of a Dutch Fork or a Dorman or a Burns. They're a known high school name and they produce talent. So, I would say just take a shot.
All right, I put him in there. Stanton Rammel, 4-star offensive tackle. Now we have 13 listed there. He's not even on 24/7 right now as a offer from Clemson. So it's still very fresh out there. Recently offered on May 6th by South Carolina. Arkansas on May 6th. And a few others. He now has a total of 27 offers. Currently, one prediction on Crystal Ball to Auburn, but that was a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Big dude. I think that's important for Clemson to continue to try to go after these big dudes on the offensive line. You got to be bigger than the others for sure. Mm-hmm. All right. Al Kuhn says, great recruiting info. Y'all are best with all that you do. We really appreciate it, Al. We appreciate the support. Houston, you got any more to add on the recruiting board? I'm going to go back in here. I'll fix the defensive line since everybody hates it.
No, I don't think there's anything else I have to. Just stay patient. It's the main thing. Like, there's no reason to get bent out of shape yet.
Oh, I'm bent, man. I'm completely bent. All right, one last thing before we go. This is non-Clemson related, but I thought it was interesting. I wanted to get your opinion on it. All right, you got time?
Sure.
College football players poised for a bounce-back year in 2022. This is from Bleacher Report. Ronnie Bell, wide receiver from Michigan. There's 8 guys listed on here. Ronnie Bell. Now, this is a guy I believe he tore his ACL or he was out for the season after having 1 or 2 really good games at the beginning of the year. As a college football fan, I'm looking forward to seeing Ronnie Bell back. I felt like Michigan was really good really good ability to continue their offensive success and get into the playoffs with losing their top wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be all right. I have my questions about Michigan. I think they were riding a wave of kind of emotion once you were able to get Ohio State and get that win at the end of the season. I think Michigan will be a good enough team to make the New Year's Six. I don't know if they're going to go to the playoff again. I think they're going to struggle offensively, even with Ronnie Bell, unless they make a move at quarterback from McNamara to McCarthy. But he's definitely going to play a role in whoever is throwing the ball.
Even though I hate Jim Harbaugh. Number 2 on the list, a man from our own backyard here, Brian Brzee, defensive tackle, Clemson, looking to get back on the field after also having a season-ending injury. I'd like to see many, many Clemson Tigers return from injury and no longer be plagued by that. But he has the ability, Houston, to really come on strong and really show what he can do at the defensive line, how disruptive he can be. And this could be his big time money payout NFL draft season for him.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Him and about 5 or 6 other guys, I feel like could do that. But I want to see Brzee do it because I know how dominant he can be. If you get him and Tyler Davis going in the same game, it's going to be really hard to move the ball on Clemson's defense.
Yeah, I definitely believe. But Clemson's defense is really stout right now, and it's just going to continue to add. Zach Evans, now this is a picture of him with TCU. He has transferred to Ole Miss, and again, I think he's poised for a big jump there. Not only is he moving to a more difficult conference, but he's moving to an offense that I think will be able to use him. And he may be, Houston, this may be one of our early picks for a regular workhorse of the week. What do you think?
I honestly don't think he's the best running back that they picked up. I think Ulysses Bentley from SMU is going to be a stud. But
Okay.
and look, he's a good running back too. He can be an absolute workhorse when he wants. I don't know. I don't know enough about him. I know his recruitment was kind of a mess, and so I don't know if this guy, like emotionally or personally, is going to be a great fit. But then again, if he runs like he did in this game against Texas that I watched, he'll be a great running back. I just know the running back room at Ole Miss is going to be stacked this year between him and Bentley.
Who has a better running back room, Ole Miss or Clemson?
Oh, I'm going to have to say Clemson on that one. Shipley pacing him off is about as good as you're going to get.
Dylan Gabriel gets his chance this time, though, gets another chance this time, though, at Oklahoma as a transfer. You know, it's hard to say. I mean, but Jeff Levy's going to be there. So can they continue with their normal high-flying self as offense? I think there's got to be – I mean, so much was shaken up from that team. There's got to be some big question marks going into this season.
I don't think people realize the amount of roster turnover that Oklahoma had this past year. And they'll score points, but I feel like they're going to give up a ton of points. It took Brent Venables 2 years to really get Clemson's defense to the caliber it's at now when he first came to Clemson. I think it might take a little longer with Oklahoma. And I'm not saying that they're going to be this awful, terrible team, but I feel like they might lose a handful of games this year that people aren't used to simply because it's a transition year. And that's not an indictment on Coach Venables or anything. He'll get things turned around and get them primed for the SEC. But I think this year is going to be a transitional year for them.
Mohamed Ibrahim, Minnesota, he was definitely a workhorse of the week. I think I picked him before he tore his ACL or was out for the season. He was having a great game, and then he went down. So I look forward to seeing him. Phil Jerkovich, Boston College, is going to continue. I mean, he came back last year, right?
Yeah, he was back last year and got hurt right before the season or right before the Clemson game. So right. I don't want to see him again, but we're going to have to deal with him. He's got a big arm.
He's good. Yeah.
He's a good player. Good. He's a good quarterback.
And then the guy that's really popular in the middle part of the state wasn't really able to show much to me in the spring game. Spencer Rattler, their defense is still in shambles, in my opinion, which is more troubles that they're going to have to deal with. But as far as the quarterback position, I think nationally there's a lot of hype around what Rattler's going to do before he actually does it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100% agree with that. And I'm not going to say that he's not an upgrade. He's definitely an upgrade.
Oh, yeah.
But I would caution anybody because right now, much like how Clemson fans are so down on Clemson in every aspect of basically down to the foundations that the campus is built on, South Carolina, to most everybody, even in the media, can do no wrong right now because of Spencer Rattler. Nothing proven. All right. He's got a connection with Coach Beamer. That's why he came to South Carolina. And they're going to be singing Kumbaya all the way until he throws his first pick six. And I'm not going to say he's going to throw a ton of those, but I'm going to tell you, they have a tough schedule, and that could get off the rails really fast if they don't get things going the way they need to go. I would caution a lot of people that if they're sitting at 5-4, going into the final 3 games, that is the worst possible position for them to be in.
John Sarian says Rattler is a ticking time bomb, though, from a personal level from the internet gossip.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying.
Tyke Smith of Georgia, I know he transferred from West Virginia, was a really big pickup for the Georgia Bulldogs, and they didn't even really need him. He was, I think, a key player against Clemson, but then shortly thereafter got hurt for the season. So they're looking to see him come back. And and help that now young defense.
Yes, I agree.
And that was it. Let me hide the stream there. All right. So everybody in, we really appreciate it. Before you go, this was a longer show, Houston. I'm sorry if I hijacked you, but before you go, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe over on YouTube. If you're watching over on Facebook, also follow our Facebook page. But if you don't mind, go trek on over to YouTube. I don't really know what's going on with Facebook. It seems like most people can't ever see our videos or any of our posts, but on YouTube it's definitely more friendly for content creators. So if you don't mind, go over on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and then hey, why not send it to a friend? Be a friend, tell a friend, as we say, and let them know about this show every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Now, I will say one disclaimer. Next Thursday night, we're going to have a show, but then the next Thursday night, I'm going to be in St. Thomas watching the waves on an island, enjoying my 10-year anniversary on year 12. Because of COVID, I'm behind 2 years. But I'm going to be at the Margaritaville in St. Thomas, so at the end of May. So don't be looking for a show that week, but we definitely will have a show next week. And again, watch me or listen to me every Thursday morning as well, 6 to 9 a.m. over on the Mickey Plyler Show, 105.5, 97.5, The Roar, or on the Roar FM app. And then read Houston's articles that he puts over on Rubbing the Rock, and follow us both at The Morgan T Show and Houston at Radio Guy Houston over on Twitter. Any parting words before we go?
I'll keep saying this forever. RELAX. Relax.
All right. Well, shortly after this show, I'm going to throw up some words from our sponsors. If you don't mind, if you know them, let them know how much you enjoy our show. And if you've used them or ate there or shopped there, please let them know how much you enjoy our show and them sponsoring our show. We really appreciate all of our sponsors. But on behalf of myself, Big Al, who's not here, and Mr. Houston Burnett, this is Morgan Thomas, and we'll see you, Tiger fans, at the top of the hill. Tiger fans, Greenville is a wonderful place to call home, and take it from me, a great place to grow your family. The housing market can be an extremely competitive and intimidating place if you don't have the right agent. That's why we recommend our friend and local agent, Lana Smith with Live Upstate SC Real Estate. She is a native of Greenville and has been serving the needs of families in the upstate for over 20 years. You need an agent proficient in navigating the world of multiple offers who will put your needs first and guide you through the process. Let Lana help you achieve your real estate goals. Call her today at 864-608-8313. Again, that's 864-608-8313. And let's get moving. If you're looking for a great atmosphere and good food, you have to check out the Charleston Sports Pub. They're the premier sports bar location in South Carolina, with locations in Clemson, Greenville, Goose Creek, James Island, Mount Pleasant, Summerville, and West Ashley. Watch all the games while you have fun playing all their games. Tiger fans, we dine there, legends dine there like Taj Boyd, and so should you. Go eat at the Charleston Sports Pub in Clemson every game day. 359 College Avenue, Clemson. Family owned and operated, serving Anderson County and surrounding areas since 1980. Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. is your residential and commercial comfort expert. Anything from preventative maintenance of your home HVAC system to overhauling a commercial chiller and everything in between. If you want to breathe easier and be nice and cool in your home or business this summer or warm this winter, give Heating and Cooling Services, Inc. a call today. Give Mark or Jason Trammell a call at 864-224-7655. Again, 864-224-7655, and they'll take good care of you. Tiger fans, we don't just dress for success, we TS for success. That's Tiger Sports Shop. We shop there so much that they practically begged us to be sponsors for them. Not serious, but we do love shopping at Tiger Sports Shop in one of their 2 locations, 364 College Avenue and 1102 Tiger Boulevard in Clemson. If you're not in Clemson to check out the experience, stop by online at www.tigersports.com. Again, tigersports.com for all your game day needs.